What is up, everyone? My name's Gardner Jeff. Welcome to GreatLakes-TCG. Joining me is Devon, one of my teammates.
Hello, guys.
And we just came back from Cardfest over in Orlando. Very, very fun time. Great weekend. Some things that could be ironed out and fixed, especially side events. And I think LCQ was a little bit of a shot in the dark for some people.
Yeah,
But
yeah, just a
otherwise,
bit.
yeah, we just wanted to talk to you guys about, a little bit how we did, what we thought about the event, and kind of go over the meta, especially going forward. Devin, any thoughts?
Um, I think the current meta is like fairly healthy.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think there's obviously some like some little things that need to be addressed in the meta. But overall, I think everything is pretty good.
Yeah.
The variety is nice, so
Oh,
that's
I mean,
cool.
this was a
But
great top 32. Like, look at this. Like, it was
yeah,
so
it's a
even
great
too. Like,
like
three
great
three three
variety
four four
spread.
four 11. Like, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, all the like the numbers of like
Yeah.
represent obviously there's one, elephant in the room there, but besides that, like everything else like seems pretty fair. Like a lot of variety on the rest of the
Yeah.
decks in the meta.
I actually want to know like
Um
what the conversion rates are. I really like how many people were actually on Blackbeard and Bonnie like to actually get 3 and 3 up here. Like I know Lucci was very well represented, Shanks
yeah.
very well represented. So same with Purple Luffy, Dofi obviously, and BY was actually I think they probably have one of the higher conversion rates.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
BY
know.
had a pretty good
Yeah.
conversion rate for sure.
Either way, uh, so let's start with Friday, the LCQ day. How did that go for you?
Haha. So, I actually came down with no invite because I bubbled out of my
Correct.
regional,
Correct.
and then I also got waitlisted on the LCQ way back when. So I was coming down with the hopes of coming down to do it and getting off the wait list. We didn't know exactly how many people were going to get in, so it was kind of like a show up early and get in situation, which I was planning to
Yeah.
do, like get there really early and whatnot. However, they sent out a message, Play TGD did, saying like no camping out, no forming
I
early
saw
lines.
that.
They don't do anything with it. Blah blah blah. A lot of miscommunications and whatnot, and then everybody kind of just like huddled up at the door, and it was kind of like a free for all at that point. And then I unfortunately got in the later part of that. I got closer to the front of the wait list line,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, I unfortunately did not get into the
I
LCQ off
know.
the wait list. So it is what it is.
But how did
I
our
did,
boys
it
do?
was so we had a few people that did go into the LCQ.
Yeah.
Most of them didn't do so hot, unfortunately. However, we did have our friend Heba. Shout out to her,
She
A to
did
Z
very
Goat.
well. I feel
She
so
did very
sad.
well on Shanks. She
Yeah.
was very confident, very comfortable on the deck, and she ended up unfortunately just missing the top 16
Mm-hmm.
due to tiebreakers. She was X2 and she got 21st. So that's a little rough. And but it
Yeah.
was an ego boost for her because she's been a little struggling, but she was
I
feeling
mean,
good and
still
she
very,
enjoyed
very
it.
good performance in LCQ, especially because she
Most
hasn't been
definitely.
like she wasn't practicing as much as like a lot of the other like us,
Yeah,
I
she doesn't
guess.
play as much as the rest of
Yeah,
us for
so it was
sure,
actually
but
really good to see her like come out and do well. All right,
hmm
fast forward to Saturday. Um, I'll kind of take over here a little bit. So the event, the actual main event, I think was ran really well. I think there wasn't a lot of downtime between rounds. The judges did a really good job in terms of like, hey, if you're done with your round, get up, go, don't interfere with anything. There's not a lot of onlookers per se. Um, I don't. There's no repairs from my understanding. Yeah, there's no repairs. I went 6-3. There was 9 rounds. I went so 6-3. I placed 90 or 91. And essentially speaking, I was not on Purple Luffy. I was actually on Shanks, and I'm gonna come out with a different video explaining my very
yeah,
peculiar
you
Shanks
better.
build. Uh,
You better.
yeah. So, but I'm happy with where I'm at. You know, last year I placed 190 something, and now I'm 90 something. So, hey, you know, if I'm jumping up 100 spots every year, maybe I'll jump up to top 32. That said, I don't think I know a couple other people who made like top one or top 256 and from Michigan, but I don't think anyone else top 128'd. Is that correct?
I don't think so. Yeah, most I think most of the people that were in did not get that high up. I
Yeah.
think maybe one other person, if that.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and by
yeah.
the way, a Michigan local was featured on stream against Jackson, very first round of the day. Like, I go figure, you're gonna hit, you're gonna hit Purple Luffy versus BY, but very first stream of the day,
And
very first round of the day,
not
and
only
he's never
that,
been on stream before, so
not only that either. That is, and shout out to Jeff, or we call him Jeef in the
Jeef,
Discord.
yeah,
Shout out to Jeef. This was his first ever in-person tournament
true,
outside
true,
of store regionals and our own like Battle of the Best
3v3s, yeah,
events.
exactly.
This is his first ever actual big event,
Mm-hmm.
and his first round opponent was Jackson Wong, which and he got so
Yes.
much praise, like from the chat and from the commentators. Like he
No,
played a pretty good game
he did good,
against
like with what he could. He
Jackson.
didn't see Luffy Taro on curve, which was unfortunate. Honestly, my boy did not draw Luffy Taro on
Yeah, he
curve
did
in
not.
like any round. He had such a
Yeah,
low roll
hey,
that
he
day.
had a rough day. He saw like no Luffy Taros
Yeah,
at all.
yeah. It
So
was actually really sad. He was losing
yeah.
dice rolls and not seeing Luffy Taros. It just was not his purple Luffy day.
Yeah, this wasn't his day for the run, which is
But
unfortunate,
he
but it
almost
happens.
he was very very close to beating Jackson, though obviously he's a world champion, a world finalist, I guess, for a reason. So Jackson actually did really well, even in a losing matchup. That said,
Hmm.
uh, day Sunday. So, is there anything else you want to talk about Saturday? By the way.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on a tangent about Bandai and their lack of organization, but I
Oh
won't.
yeah.
So I'll say, yeah, like you said, the your event ran pretty well. Outside of that, I think everything else, like I liked how they went about doing, like side event signups, rather than having like a gigantic line splitting through the event hall. Um, they were doing a lot of lottery picks, so it's like you either get it or you don't. That way we're
Yeah.
not like clogging the halls and all that stuff. Which
Yeah.
I think that's a lot better. Like for me, because it's like you're not standing in line for 4 hours just for you to like not get it, right? That just feels really bad.
No.
Same thing
Yeah.
with
I
like,
feel you for
you know,
sure. It was
yeah.
actually,
So
and correct me if I'm wrong. Like Sunday signups were just for competitors, right? Like all the other spots were kind of taken.
I think there were some for competitors that were like on site, and then the rest, I think the ones were already
Yeah.
pre-signed up for like months ago. So those were the ones that like were already set in stone for like anybody to get in, but the competitor ones were the ones that would like on site like get them there.
Yeah. And
But they were like general entry ones that you had to sign up for months ago that were
ju-
already filled.
just to talk about the prize wall situation, I don't like this thing. I actually preferred in side events for being played for like puddings and stuff like that, or like
Yeah, I didn't
top
like the
player
prize
packs.
wall thing either.
The
I
prize
didn't
wall
like it either.
yeah, it's just devolves into certain groups who are not competitors, so competitors don't actually get a good chance at getting at these like prizing. It's just devolves into groups of people rushing to buy as many tickets from the first event that finishes,
Yeah, and then they go
and
grab
they
all the uncut
go
sheets and the
grab all the uncut
cereals.
sheets and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yep.
And apparently there on Saturday, like so the day where all the prize wall was like was still like stacked, there was a Bandai employee, or I guess a staff employee, that was not taking the tickets away from people. So a group went and bought an uncut sheet, held on to their tickets, looped the line, gave the tickets to someone else that wasn't like actually with them when they bought it, but still part of the group, and then they went up with the same tickets and bought another uncut sheet. And I'm like, what? What is
That's
going?
crazy.
That's freaking
Yeah.
insane.
But
Either
besides
way,
that, like I said, I could go on a tangent about that. But
no, I want to
I
keep this video
think
short. Just kind of our little thoughts on the
Yeah.
event. I do want to do one
Yeah.
little thing is bring up
Uh
my tier list, and
yeah.
see like how well this kind of matched up with how things kind of went. I think my placing a BY, where like initially a lot of people were saying like BY is too high. That ended up being kind of true. Like I know it won the whole event. I'm a little biased, but I think
Well,
BY's
not only
conversion rate
that,
was really
it
good.
had a good conversion rate more than likely. We don't know, but
Yeah.
it had a good conversion rate. It had obviously good a good run with the winner,
Yeah.
shout out Cross.
No, yeah,
But
100%.
also like
Really
the
well
like
done.
unfortunately the other two did get bounced, I think in top 32, but I mean it was still like a good choice, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
if Blackbeard wasn't so prevalent this time around because I think people were a little, worried. So then people started going back to their comfort picks
Yeah, like Lucci
and
and
if people
BY.
were going to start running back to Lucci, to answer the other meta calls, like BY was an answer to the Lucci meta call. So like it was a good solid choice and it paid off for some people for sure.
No, for sure. And I will say, I think one thing I would say that I got wrong here is obviously Nami being placed here. I guess Bonnie should be like ahead of Nami. And then Blackbeard probably drops down to like right around where Shanks is.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think this is like I would say like I think these top three being the top three are actually correct.
I would say yes. I would say yes,
These three
but
could probably be intermingled a little bit.
I think the
Bonnie
third should
coming
be
up with
intermingled.
yeah.
I think Dofi and Purple Luffy have pretty much solidified themselves as like two of the best decks in the
Yeah.
format. They're the most consistent. They're the most obviously the most high roll decks. They're very strong at what
Mm-hmm.
they do
Mm-hmm.
on curve. So those two I feel like are solidified as like top two in my eyes. So
Real quick. One thing we actually glazed over, the Swiss undefeated Purple Luffy deck list was the deck list that you and I essentially, kind of
we put out on that
put out
video a
on
while
the
ago.
in the
Yes,
guide,
sir. Yes,
and it was just
sir.
like, oh, I
I
asked him like,
called
hey, did you use like is it my list? And he didn't really say no, but he didn't say yes. He kind of just looked at me and goes, I've watched your video. Like, I'm like, okay, cool, that's it. I'm not saying this is my list. Obviously, I only made some tweaks compared to the Japan list, but there was a one of Frankie in there. Oh, that's kind of, I feel like that was my touch. Either way,
wait, there wasn't one of Frankie.
bro, yeah, his list even had the one of Frankie. It
Oh
was
no.
literally card for
No.
card my
Why'd he
guide list, which is
justify
fine.
that?
Which is fine. Which
Why'd
is
he
fine.
justify that?
I'm not
No.
saying no. I'm not
No.
saying it's my list. I'm just saying it was the same exact list as the one that we were running. Regardless, I think moving forward, this is probably going to be similar in terms of representation. I think you'll see a lot more
Yeah.
Dofi, a lot more. I mean, maybe not in representation, but at least in terms of topping, I think these three are going to be the most topping decks, followed by these three, and that's just how it's going to go. Obviously, probably Nami bumps down, Bonnie bumps up, but yeah,
Yeah, I think this just isn't the meta for Nami unless you get a really good run where you just dodge Dofies and the
bro.
sheer amount of Dofy being
We keep
played
seeing Nami
is just
pop up
hard
left and
to.
right, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah, the
way,
sheer number of Dofi and Purple Luffy's in the format getting played, it makes Nami really hard to run. So,
yeah. And
but
just going over Sunday very quickly, we played a few side events. We had a lot of fun. It was a super chill day. I met a lot of people. Thank you for whoever came out and said hi to me. Uh, yeah, like I love meeting people. It's very, very approachable. Please don't ever feel like you can't approach me. That said, Lions, baby. We watched the Lions game in
woo!
Orlando. They took down the Vikings. They're going NFC champions. We'll see what happens later on in the playoffs. So
Raekwon,
regardless,
your Vikings suck.
yeah, the Vikings do suck. That was hilarious because I was staying with the Minnesotans, and so I got like I watched half the game with you guys, half the game with them, and it was freaking hilarious. They were so defeated. I was in there clapping my ass off and like just screaming at them. Either way. That said, till next time. Any closing thoughts, Devin?
Um, Overall, I think it was a pretty good event. I think this meta's pretty good.
Yeah,
Just please
I actually
address
like
some
O9.
stuff, Bandai. Please address Dofi.
You gonna shout out some
Please.
bands this time?
Please, bro. Get Jinbei or Teach. One of the two, please. Get him out of here.
I think Jimmy would kill
Please.
the deck. Teach would probably bring it in line.
Get
But
give me
eh.
give me a teach band. I'm fine with that. Give me a teach band.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. That's the new band that you know Devin's asking for.
I'm
Every time we
I'm
have you on here,
calling
we'll ask
a
you for
new
like a
one.
couple bands. Yeah.
I'm calling for a new one. Give me teach. I want it gone. I'm sick of Dofi high rolling me.
Fair enough, fair enough. It's the purple Luffy lifestyle. Either way, thank you again for being on. Until next time, guys.